Hello, gifted and talented student. This video is intended to help you write your academic and effective gifted and talented goals for the 2018-19 school year. I'm going to walk you through a PowerPoint and narrate it. Please feel free to pause this narration at any time to catch up in writing your goals. If you'd like to just go through the goals without my narration, you should have a PowerPoint without me talking on it. So if you want to go through that on your own, you are welcome to. The most important thing, of course, is to write good, meaningful goals and then to save them in the right places. So before you begin, you're going to need to know your area of giftedness. If you don't know your area of giftedness, you can stop by my office in 171. I am Mr. Jones. Ms. Atkin, my secretary, can help you as well, or you can see your counselor. Same thing, if you're a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, you're going to need last year's goal so that you can reflect on it. If you don't have it, you can always go on to Naviance and find it. You put it on there last year, or you can go to your counselor. First thing you're going to do, and like I said, feel free to pause this periodically to catch up, but you're going to log on to Schoology. Once you log on to Schoology, under Courses, you're going to open the class titled CTHS ALP and with your graduation year. Once you've done that, you'll see under Assignments ALP Goals 2018-19. You'll click on that, and if the document, the Google document of your goal pops up, great, click on it. If it doesn't, you're going to want to click on My Documents, and over on the right side of the screen, you're going to open it up. Sometimes your Google Doc is not caught up with Schoology, so you might have to do it again. If you have to do it again, just close out your windows, go back and open Schoology from your initial My Cherry Creek login, and it should open up for you. If you have any trouble with this, see your counselor. Then you're going to fill in the template to complete your goals. The first thing you're going to fill in is obviously your name and stuff, but just real quick, I'll show you what you should be looking for. Once you've done courses, you should see this ALP Goals 2018-19. Once you've done that, you're going to see a screen like this. Now, yours might not look exactly like mine, so your goal might not show up here, but over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see an open button, and if you click that, it should open up for you. When you open it up, your template is going to look just like this. So you'll need to fill out your demographic information, including your graduation year, your student ID, and in what area or areas you're identified. After that, it asks you to reflect on last year's goal. That's why you need that in front of you. So your effective goal. Attached to the email you received is the effective rubric. We're going to write the effective rubric first. And if you listen to what I say, this is a pretty easy process. When you look at the effective rubric, each page of it references a specific area. So I'll show it to you right now. This is what it's going to look like. So each page in this document has to do with one of these bullets. In this case, self-awareness is going to be the first page. So if I forward down to the first page, you're going to see self-awareness. Everything on this page has to do with self-awareness. The next page is self-management. Everything's about self-management, etc. So you're going to need that in order to write your effective goal. You should probably pause this video and take a look at that rubric and decide which page you're going to focus on before we continue. These are the areas I mentioned before that were in that attachment. And this is how you're going to write it. So you're going to pick a page. In other words, you're going to identify an area of need on the rubric. You're going to identify specific student is able to areas on that rubric as well. The student is able to areas are right in here. So you're going to, if you're using self-management, you would circle self-management up here. You would find the area that you want to grow down here, and then you would rate yourself up here. If you didn't quite catch that, I'll show you an example here in just a second. Here is the example I'll show you. So for the sake of this example, I picked responsible decision making as an area in which I want to grow. After I've picked that, I look at the table down here and I pick an area, a specific area within decision making. And for the sake of this example, analyzing how decision making skills improve study habits and academic performance is what I want to concentrate on. Once I've picked the area, and the specific, now I'm going to rate myself. Obviously, if you're rating yourself a 6 or a 7, you probably shouldn't be working on this area because the goal here is to grow. I've rated myself a 4. So with those 3 things, I will be able to write my goal. And you can use this area over here as an example on how you should write your goal. All you're doing is plugging in the necessary information. Given that I struggle with this, I will be able to demonstrate growth in this from a 4 to a 6 on this rubric during this school year. You do that, it's a SMART goal, and you are golden. You might want to pause the video now to get that done. You'll write this on the template that you were given or that is in your Schoology. Now for your academic goal. You have to know, like I said, your area of giftedness. So you might be identified in math, you might be identified in language arts, you might be identified in other or general or specific intellectual aptitude, you might be identified in science or art or whatever. Bottom line is you have to write one goal for each academic area in which you are gifted. So if you're identified in math and language arts, that's 2 academic goals. Just math, that's 1 academic goal. So how to write your goals? You need to identify the area in which you want to grow. So if I want to grow in math, I can't just say I want to grow in math. You need to get a little more specific. The example I think is good is having to do with basketball. I could be an incredible gifted basketball player, but my free throw average is sitting at a 75%, maybe even an 85%, and I want to grow in that area. So it's not about basketball, it's about free throw shooting in that case. Identify how you'll measure your growth. Of course, in the basketball analogy, if I increase my free throw percentage, that's how I'm going to measure it, and I will use the official scorebook to do that. You want to make sure it's possible to reach your goal. So if I'm the basketball player, 100% might not be a reasonable goal, especially if I'm sitting at 75% or 85%. Maybe 95% is reachable, and that's okay. You want to make sure your goal relates to your specific area of giftedness, and you just want to make sure you complete your goal by the end of the year. So here's another example. It's one that might help you in writing your academic goal, especially in math. So the area I want to grow is mathematical accuracy when taking timed tests. I stress out during tests maybe, and I don't get done or I make silly mistakes. How are you going to measure it? I'm going to measure it with PowerSchool. So whenever a teacher puts a unit test score in, I'll know. And that's the unit of measure I'll use. And then I want to know how much I'm going to grow. In this case, I want to grow from an 85 to a 90%. And the timeline is always going to be the same. You'll show growth by the end of this school year. So here is how I would write that goal, that example that I just gave you, but in paragraph form. And it's much like that effective goal, you'll remember. It says, given that I struggle with mathematical accuracy when taking timed tests, I will work with my teacher to modify my study habits and become more familiar with testing strategies, and in so doing move from an 85 to a 90% by the end of the 2018-19 school year. This area right here, work with the teacher to modify my study habits and become more familiar with testing strategies, that's my action plan. That's what I'm going to do to achieve my goal. Now might be a good time to pause the video. All you have to do is use this formula to write your goals. The hardest thing here is going to be identifying the area within your gifted area that you want to focus on. Remember, it has to be SMART. In other words, specific, measurable, timely, attainable, and relevant. After you've written all your goals in that form, you're going to have to do exactly what it says on this page. If you follow these directions, it should be just fine for you. However, if you struggle with this at all, make sure you have a copy of that goal saved somewhere and then go see your counselor. The bottom line is this: you need to share your ALP PDF file so that your counselor has access to it. That's going to be very important for us in our reporting purposes. The other important thing is to submit it to Schoology so that you'll have access to it when you need to reflect on it in the future. Certainly, if you have any questions, the best resource you have in this building besides me is your counselor. And any counselor can help you with this if you just have a logistical or a technical question. If you have any questions, please stop by 171 or see your counselor. Good luck doing this, and I appreciate your time.